One of the questions I get asked the most often as a Dokkan Battle streamer is, should I pull on this banner? Is it worth throwing stones at this banner? I'm here to answer those questions for you. So we have a Rising Dragon Carnival banner that just kind of popped up out of nowhere. If you're even remotely familiar with the game, you're aware that the SSR summon rate is doubled on Rising Dragon Carnival banners. So what that means is that instead of the normal 10%, we're getting 20%. Obviously, that's not always true. It's best to check the rates before you actually invest in a Rising Dragon Carnival banner. But in this particular case, yes, it is 20%. So that's a spectacular start, actually. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. There's really no new cards here. It's worth noting that all of the cards here either have a new Dokkan Awakening or have been able to Dokkan Awaken for a while now. So starting off, the crowning glory of this particular banner is the Agility Kaioken Goku. To put it simply, he's just not a very good character in his base form. You can just look right here and see for yourself. Attack plus 30% when HP is 80% or below for a leader skill. Like, you can tell how old this card is just by looking at that. Attack plus 2000 at the start of the turn. Another excellent example of just how old this card is. At least it doesn't have a requisite, so if you're trying to start a mono agility team and you're new, this card will still pull its weight. Kaioken times 3 Kamehameha does huge damage to the enemy, so underwhelming. Greatly raises attack. On a mono agility team with Super Vegito, if you super consistently with this particular card, he'll actually start to do some damage and the kind of drag out slobber knocker kind of fights where they go on for a while, because he doesn't, if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't really have like a limit to how high his attack can get. If he does, I'm not aware of it. I didn't see anything about it. And another good example of why he's underwhelming is his stats are extremely mediocre. like under 7K for an agility card, it's pretty bad. But he Dokkan Awakens. He recently got a Dokkan Awakening, and you need the warrior marks specifically for him. And I actually don't really remember where to get him. Oh, Hero Extermination Plan is where you get him from. You have to wait for the weekend for that event to roll around. So if you do happen to pull him early in the week, you're gonna be waiting a long time before you get the opportunity to actually Dokkan Awaken him. I don't know if Bandai Namco did that on purpose or not, but anyway, when he Dokkan Awakens, he gets much better. The original form had. As far as links go, he had Shocking Speed and Over and Flash, Kamehameha for link skills that are worth noting. The Saiyan lineage is okay as a link skill. But he gains Shattering the Limit, which is obviously, if you're running a team with lots of Dokkan Awakenings, you're going to have this link actually activating pretty often. As a +2 key link, Shattering the Limit is actually a really good link. Because he Dokkans it, so obviously he's going to get it. His passive skill goes up to attack plus 7,000 and defense plus 3,000 at the start of the turn. So again, there's no requisite. Every time he comes out, he's going to have an extra 7k attack and 3k defense. So that makes him kind of tanky. He gains almost 1,000 defense when he Dokkan Awakens at max level, so that makes him surprisingly tanky of a card. But besides that, what really shines on this particular character is that he continues to get that to get that attack buff, but he gets supreme damage modifier instead of the huge damage modifier, which is very, very important. It's definitely worth noting, because it brings his normal multiplier at 12 key from actually doesn't really seem to give him much. It's 5%, so it's not a whole lot, but the boost stack, and that's really all that matters. So if you have him out and you can consistently have him super, he will hit on a mono agility team for quite a bit. I feel like if he had prepared for battle, he would have been more. He would have fit more into like mono super, but I mean it's really not that big. Sorry, it's really not that big of a deal. Shocking speed and over in a flash, that makes sense for a character like this, and he actually fits in really well with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. So if you pull this guy and you get him Dokkan Awakened, he will definitely pull his weight on a mono agility team. He'll definitely jockey for a position with the rest of your agility units on this team. So as far as this card goes, it's actually pretty good. If you had him before, and if you have him already, there's really no point in pulling on this banner anymore, because odds are you're probably like mid-end game. You probably don't really need to be spending Dragon Stones on this thing. It's just another trap banner. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is just another trap banner waiting to steal your Dragon Stones in order to kind of get you off your game for when Super Saiyan 4s come out. So, I mean, pull at your own risk, but we'll go over that a little more here in a bit. Now we have Dashing Light Super Saiyan Goku GT. Mediocre average stats, I'd say. He's really not that old of a card. Leader skill, nothing to really call home about. Passive skill, again, nothing to really call home about here either. Kamehameha extreme damage modifier on this card is extraordinarily disappointing. Worst of all, he has very few links, but the links he does have are pretty common, so there is a benefit to having this particular card if you're new to the game, or you're about in the mid game and you're trying to fill in slots. But the most notable ones are Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, and GT, and really, if not really anything to call him about. But when he Dokkan Awakens into Super Saiyan 2 Goku GT, he gets attack plus 70% at the start of the turn, so he gains about 30% attack. And again, there's no requisite, so every time he comes out, it's plus 70%. He causes supreme damage to the enemy with Super Dragon Fist, which means that he loses the Kamehameha link, but he gains prepared for battle, and shattering the limit. So in the correct teams, he's going to do extraordinarily well, and always have plenty of ki to draw from. So as far as the Dokkan Awakening goes, he actually is a pretty solid AGL card. He plays better on like GT teams, but prepared for battle gives him a niche in early mid game teams where you need the key, where you're at that point where you kind of need the key to really help you consistently launch super attacks. So yeah, stats definitely get a nice boost. So people knock this card, but it's still a really solid card. I mean, they can't all be winners. You need to understand that not every card is going to be just amazing. So anyway, so let's move on. So now we have Maju. This is really gonna be the last card I'm gonna talk about here. For a long time, physical Xenotrunks, who's right here actually, ironically, was considered the worst card in the game, and for good reason. His links were awful, his stats were awful. You can see right here just how bad they are. His passive skill was bad, 80% or below. Back when he first came out, we didn't really have gods, so it was pretty, I don't know, man. Well, I really don't know where I was going with that, but you get the point. It was a bad card. Then he got a Dokkan Awakening, and he got an AoE attack, and his stats got better, and his links got better, and his passive skill got better, and his, and again, he got the AoE, so super attack got better. So, his throne was usurped by Majub. Extremely underwhelming card. I mean, his HP is really good. His attack is average. His defense is pretty average. His leader skill was great if you didn't have like a key lead, but the odds of you getting a decent key lead, like at least +2, is pretty damn good. Attack and defense +3000 when HP is 80% or above. Just absolutely obsolete card. As far as the passive skill goes, it's not good at all. Extreme damage to the enemy with Majin Beam and lowers attack. Again, extremely underwhelming. But what a lot of people don't know is that not too long ago he got, actually I believe it was when Omega Shenron came out, or maybe a little afterwards, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he got a Dokkan Awakening. So he gained quite a few little goodies that made him actually pretty decent for like mono strength teams. His stats got much better. He over 10k HP, which is crazy, almost unheard of. His attack gets over 7k, and his defense goes over 4k, so that makes him pretty surprisingly tanky. I mean, you're obviously not going to use him to tank over like Metal Rildo, but on like a mono strength team. But he'll take a hit. He'll take a hit or two. His attack, Majin Beam, gets supreme damage modifier, still lowers attack. He actually gets all types key +3 for a leader skill, and that's spectacular. So if you're like if you're a new player and you're like in like the end game, or not the end game, but like the mid game, this card is going to be extremely valuable when you Dokkan him, especially if you don't have anything better for like a rainbow lead. His passive skill is a little underwhelming. It's attack and defense +7000 when HP is 30% or above. I mean, obviously, if you're under 30%, you're going to be healing anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but 7,000, there's a reason why people prefer percentage increases to attack and defense over flat bonuses, and that's specifically because you tend to get more out of the percentage increases, especially once you have units actually like Dokkan, and you have like their potential system unlocked, and you have like paths unlocked, and you're putting orbs into them. So yeah, but still, attack and defense +7000 is really not too much to sneeze at. It's actually pretty good. So among the links that he gets, the most notable link that he gets is the GT link in this form. When he Dokkans, he gets Fuse Fighter and Shattering the Limit, so he gets 2 more key links, which makes him spectacular as far as gaining key goes. Again, yeah, the stats go up quite a bit, so all I really wanted to talk about is to just note that these 3 units on the banner are strong units, and pulling Majub is not a disappointing thing anymore because his Dokkan Awakening is actually pretty good. These are the 3 cards have been around so long that I really don't need to talk about them, so there's really no point in talking about them. So we're just gonna go ahead and leave it at that. So to summarize, should you pull? If you're a new player, there's literally no reason for you not to put at least a multi-summon into this banner. You might even want to consider 2 multi-summons, because the 20% pull rate means that you should realistically get 2 SSRs per multi. Obviously, RNG might have other plans. You might get more, you might get none. That's just the nature of gambling, is that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. It's worth understanding the risk going into it. But for newbies, for new players, absolutely drop 50, 100 stones. At the very least, one multi-summon. See what you get out of it, and if you're satisfied, don't pull any more. If you want more, because you need more, because SSRs make this game go round, you can't make a team full of meta changers. Well, you can, but that's usually more for like end game players, are people who have re-rolled on like Dokkan Fest and who have gotten extremely lucky. But these kind of SSRs like this Goku, the Kaioken Goku, and this GT Goku are the backbone of new player teams. For mid-game players, you might want to consider actually pulling on this one as well. If you're in a comfortable range for the Super Saiyan 4s, it can hurt to throw a multi at this. At the very least, like, do a YOLO single. I actually did a YOLO single earlier today, and I got the physical Shenron. Not a big deal, because he's not that great of a card, and I'm not planning on pulling on Cooler either, but it's a card I didn't have, and it's a card I got for 5 stones. So, not too bad, really. Not to mention, Xenotrunks is a pain in the ass to Dokkan Awakened, but Majin Vegeta not so much. So if you pull Majin Vegeta, you are in a good spot for World Tournament. He's a huge help. Doubly so if you have Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, the tech one, because he makes Majin Vegeta hit like a truck. So it's definitely worth attempting to get Majin Vegeta. I've been trying for so long, and I just cannot get this guy for the life of me. He continues to elude me, and I think any chance I ever had of getting him disappeared when the GSSR tickets stopped giving AoE units. But anyway, endgame players, this is literally, for you, it's a trap banner. This is to distract you from Super Saiyan 4s. Don't get distracted. Stay the course. Save your stones. Get yourself ready for Super Saiyan 4s, because we don't have long to go. When they're throwing banners like this at you to try to tempt you, try to like dangle that carrot on a string, you know that we're not far away. So save your money, save your Dragon Stones, prepare for Super Saiyan 4s. They're coming. I can't emphasize this enough. But anyway, so yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk to you guys about. And I appreciate you guys watching, and we will see you next time. Take it easy.